In the sewing and quilting business, products are often bundled together and sold as kits. For example, a quilting kit might include the patterns, fabric, and thread required to make an entire quilt. Alternatively, you may sell items like bobbins individually, or package them in bulk quantities and sell them by the bag. In this lesson, we'll show you how to create and manage these kits. Kits are built and maintained using the Kit Builder form. The left half of this form shows a list of all the kits that are currently defined. The kits are listed alphabetically by name to make them easier to find on the list. If you have a large number of kits, or aren't sure of the exact kit name you are looking for, you can type a part of the name in the Find Kit field and click the search button or press Enter. The system will locate the first kit name that contains the entered text, scroll to it, and select it. Click the search button again to advance to the next matching kit. When you click on a kit in the Defined Kits list, or find it by searching, the table at the right of the form will display the products currently assigned to the kit. The kit members list includes the product description, retail price, available quantity, and the product SKU. The table layout is configurable if you want to add, remove, or rearrange columns. If you want to view the product details for one of the kit members, double-click on the product to open the products form for that product. There are two editable columns in the members list. The first is the item quantity per kit field, where you can change the product quantity that will be included in the kit. The other editable column in the table is the piece type column. For linear kit members, such as fabric and ribbon, and anything else sold by the yard or meter, you can choose one of the options on the drop-down list. If you have defined commonly used fabric piece types, using the Cut Fabric Definitions form, each defined type will appear on the drop-down. Select the desired piece type, then enter the quantity of pieces that you need. If you need a length of fabric of a specific, non-standard piece size, choose the specific width option from the drop-down, then use the item quantity column to set the desired length. If you need multiple fabric pieces for the same fabric, you can add the fabric as a member multiple times, setting the piece type and quantity for each row. In general, you could always use the specific width option for fabric, but we recommend that you use defined piece types when possible. Selecting a specific piece type provides guidance for the person assembling the kits. For example, if you choose the specific width option and set the quantity to 0.25, it's not clear if the kit needs a fat quarter or a full quarter yard of fabric. If a fat quarter is needed for the kit, you should set the piece type to fat quarter. Additionally, if a kit is ever disassembled, the pieces that are standard sizes can go back on the shelf to be sold as pieces. But specific width pieces are more difficult to track inventory and make them available for sale. The first time you create a piece of fabric for a kit, the system will create a subproduct in the product definitions for that piece type. It will essentially be a copy of the product for the fabric itself, but it will have an identified piece type. This makes it easier to track the quantity of fabric on the bolt separately from the quantity of fabric in cut pieces. Specific piece types each have their own subproduct, but all the pieces with specific width type are grouped together in a single subproduct. If the item in the kit is a nonlinear item such as thread or patterns, leave the piece type field blank. As you add and remove kit members, the total item retail price field is automatically updated based on the kit members and quantities. This value is provided to help you set a retail price on the kit. When you save the kit, a reminder will appear if you have not entered a kit price, giving you the chance to enter the price before saving. You should also enter a unique SKU for each kit, to make them easier to identify at point of sale and in inventory. When you save the kit, a reminder will appear if you have not entered a SKU, giving you the chance to enter one before saving. Finally, the current inventory field, which is non-editable, shows how many of the currently selected kit are currently in inventory. To remove a product from a kit, click the X button in the first column of the members list. To add more products to the kit, click the Add Products button to open a searchable product list, or use the Fast Search field to quickly search for a product. To create a new kit, click the New Kit button below the Defined Kits list. You will be prompted for the name of the new kit, which will appear at the bottom of the kit list, with a star icon to identify it as a new kit. You can then add products to the kit and set its retail price and SKU. To change the name of a kit, select it in the kit list, click the Rename button, then enter the new name for the kit when prompted. To avoid corruption of historical data, kits cannot be deleted. However, if a kit is no longer being offered, you can deactivate it. This will remove it from the kit list and mark the kit as inactive in the products table. To deactivate a kit, click on it in the list, then click the Deactivate button. A confirmation will appear to confirm your action. When you are happy with the kit members list, price, and SKU, click the Save Kit Definitions button to save the kit definition. You can save the kits one at a time, or work on several, then click the Save button once to save all the kits you have added or made changes to. When you save a kit, there is no immediate impact on the inventory quantity for the kit. In a sense, the kit simply defines a collection of products. When you are ready to actually create physical instances of a kit, select the kit from the list, then click the Assemble Kits button. You will be prompted for the number of kits that you will be creating. When you create the kits, the inventory amount of each fabric will be reduced by the required fabric amount, and the current quantity of the fabric subproducts will then be increased by the number of pieces that you create to go into the kits. When adding fabric of defined piece types to the kit, you have two options. If you add the specific piece type subproduct, the system will use any existing pieces in inventory first, and then create additional new pieces as required to fill the kits. But if you add the main fabric product as a kit member and select a specific piece type, all the required pieces will be created, leaving any existing pieces in inventory as separate cut pieces. If you have assembled kits that are no longer needed, either because you need the contents or the kits are no longer selling well, select the kit in question, then click the Disassemble Kits button. You will be prompted for the number of kits to disassemble. When you proceed, the members in the kits will be returned to inventory. The fabric members will add to the inventory quantity of the associated fabric subproduct. For nonlinear products, the removed products will go back into the current inventory quantity. It is also noted that the system tracks the inventory quantity separate from the quantity of the product in kits. Item quantities are shifted back and forth between inventory quantity and kit quantity as needed when the kits are assembled, disassembled, or sold. This diagram explains how the inventory is managed. For the main fabric products, the system tracks the quantity on the bolt as the current quantity, and the total yardage of the cut pieces, both in kits, and separately on the shelf, as the cut piece quantity. For cut fabric pieces, the number of cut pieces on the shelf is stored as the current quantity, while the number of pieces in kits is stored as kit quantity. For nonlinear items, the current quantity reflects the number of products not in kits, while the number of pieces currently in kits is saved as the kit quantity.